Welcome everyone to the Overwatch League. We are here in the APAC region, Trid, and I'm so excited to join you because today is going to mean a lot for the two series that we have currently on our hands between the Hangzhou Spark and the Philadelphia Fusion, as well as the Shanghai Dragons versus the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, it's the final day of the Summer Showdown qualifiers. Most of the teams have kind of clinched their positions or have been proven to be outside of qualification range. But actually, teams here, 3 out of the 4 teams today have a lot on the line. The only team that cannot have their position really affected that much is going to be the Spark. The Philadelphia Fusion, however, they need to win, not only beat the Spark, but beat them by a certain margin in order to qualify for the tournament stage. Taking a look at the season standings first, surprising probably no one at this point, Vicky, the Seoul Dynasty and the Shanghai Dragons on top with equal records when it comes to win and losses. That's very important because only one of them can take a win today and move ahead in the standings as we reach the tournament stage.
Yeah, really, the one team that did shift a little bit in the overall season standings was the Charge, actually going on top of the Valiant this time around. With the performance that the Charge have had in the stage, it's to no surprise, and getting those overall points are extremely important, just as important as we're going to see in the stage standings currently. We already have 3 locked-in teams, but the reason why we highlighted how important this first series is going to be is because you see that 4th place spot right there with the Chengdu Hunters. They're sweating right now, Trid, because the Fusion, this is their opportunity to dethrone them, take over that 4th place spot, and then we'll kind of see another Hunters habit here where they always fall short in the last week of qualifiers to make it into the actual tournament.
It's a really interesting position for the Hunters to be in. They're not going to be playing today, so they have to sit back and accept the fate that's handed to them from the Philadelphia Fusion and the Spark. Let's take a look at that Philly roster because there's going to be an important change from previous weeks that's being enacted from what we saw yesterday. MN3 starting once again for the Philadelphia Fusion, had great potential and had a great performance yesterday, expecting more of the same. You got to remember, Vicky, up until yesterday against the Fusion, Seoul Dynasty had not lost a map. This reinvigorated Philadelphia Fusion came in and took them down to the wire. Philly fan stocks, yes, disappointing you didn't come through with the win ultimately, but you've got to be impressed with the performance and you've got to be riding a nice little high moving into today. This is very winnable for the Philadelphia Fusion. As we mentioned though, Vicky, it's not about picking the dub, it's about picking the map differential to dodge the tiebreaker against the Hunters.
Especially the fact that the Fusion were able to take Seoul Dynasty, the team that had not dropped a single map in this stage, to game number 5. It's going to be interesting. They're facing off against the Spark. Now, this is something common that we see here in the APAC region as we take a look at the 100 Spark lineup right now. Shy, Alpha Yi, Bernard, Irony, and Super Rich. Trid, this is the year of the rookies. We said it at the very beginning in the very first stage for a reason. Alpha Yi really coming through. Obviously, here on the other side of things, looking at the Fusion, Zest, MN3 also popping off in their own regards, but these teams have fought, I believe, a total of 5 times this season, which is the most that 2 teams have fought so far in general in this season alone. So Philly currently lead the matches 3-2 over the Spark, which is very interesting to see because with that just 1 point difference, these 2 teams are very neutral, close in regards to the way that these two teams have played. But now with the inclusion of MN3, I think things are going to change a lot here for the Philly and their confidence after the series just yesterday. Yeah, they lost against the Dynasty, but what does this mean here for Philadelphia? Does this mean now that they're going to dominate? They're going to carry some of that momentum going forward? I mean, his performance yesterday just cannot be ignored.
Yeah, I absolutely hope we're going to see glimmers of the Fusion we saw yesterday. But to get down to brass tacks, so to speak, for the audience at home, if the Philadelphia Fusion are going to qualify for the tournament stage of the Summer Showdown, they need to win this series with a +2 map differential. Yeah. A +2 map differential means a 3-1 scoreline or a 3-0 scoreline. If Spark pick up 2 maps in this series, regardless of whether they win or lose, the Philadelphia Fusion will end their Summer Showdown run. So, Philadelphia Fusion fans, you're praying that you get an early lead, you close it out with the 3-0 or the 3-1, something that's entirely possible for the Philadelphia Fusion to do. But if the Spark get a little bit tricky, pull out some surprises, or just come up and have a bit of diff today, it's all over for you guys.
Oh, man, while we get set up here in our first map going on to Lijiang, I gotta say, the Fusion I mean, they took Seoul to map 5. I could see them being very capable of beating the Spark, but this is Fusion that we're talking about. We were joking about it while we got set up, Trid, but I mean, let's be honest here, and especially looking at the track record right now. They can not only take Seoul to map 5 and are capable of beating the Spark at least 3-1, but at the same time, they could also get 3-0'd by Spark or even get reversed 3-0'd by Spark, because this is Philly at the end of the day. Now, hopefully here, I
love the confidence. I love the confidence exuding from your voice that Philadelphia Fusion can close this one out, Vicky. You're just like, this is Philly, guys. Remember, like, this could go either way. No, let's ride some stocks. Let's give them the vote of confidence. They kind of earned it after yesterday's performance.
Very
already,
true.
they're taking the fight through the Spark. Zest picking up the first blood of the series, taking down Irony, and really making this easy for the Fusion to close it out. Alpha E taking down Zest, however, gonna cause a pause for thought, quite literally, as it stems the flow of the fight. Probably will get that resolved quickly and get back into the action, but currently it is Fusion who has the man advantage in the fight with 4 members against 3 after that initial skirmish. Point has not unlocked yet, though.
Yeah, and the point didn't even get unlocked yet. So quick pause at the very start for that initial engagement. Hopefully we get that settled real soon, see which of these players are having some technical issues. But while getting set up here and looking at what we have on store, it's no surprise, Trid, that we have obviously the Jugger Queen and the Sojourn compositions coming out from both teams. Now, it's nice to highlight some things that we saw different from our other APAC teams yesterday. We saw the Echo come out. We saw the Ashe come out. Now, it really trickles down to the fact that some of these teams have made those decisions depending on the maps that we have on our hands and which of these teams feel more comfortable going for what comps that they want to go for. Obviously, though, a lot of the question behind MN3 yesterday was, is he going to be sticking to the Sojourn? Is he going to ever swap over to the Ashe? Well, that decision was fantastic for Philly because MN3 had his pop-off moments. He had those crucial picks that he needed to get with the Sojourn. On the other side of things,
about option number 3, though, Vicky. You forgot about option number 3. You forgot about the Widowmaker.
The Widow, the quick Widow. Oh, yeah.
The MN3 Widow.
Which
people were, I don't know about this
that
one.
Was
MN3
disgusting.
Widow coming in. Yes, but that's the thing. We've seen it played a couple of times on Sanctuary in particular for a Widowmaker to come out. I think that's a very niche pick, and I doubt we'll see it unless Busan is going to be in our map set later today, and it does go to Sanctuary again. I feel like it's very much relegated to that point in time right now. But yes, you asking Sojourn or Ashe, it's Sojourn or Widowmaker, because it was a majority Sojourn performance for MN3 yesterday.
It's nice. It's nice to be able to see that change up, though, from M3 and even our other teams with some quick adaptations between the FAR even being used up on Lijiang. And, you know, when it comes to the way that the Spark have been playing, they want to be able to take away that momentum from the Philly with the way that they performed just yesterday. Though, looking at the history between both these teams, again, Fusion do have the lead at the moment while we still are getting things set up here from this pause. It's nice to break these things down, though, because you have a history to look at. You have, you know, the record doesn't lie here, but the Fusion have kind of wavered off a bit, and I think that's why including MN3 just yesterday against a dominating team like the Dynasty is something great for the Fusion to build up that foundation, especially when it comes to this last series that they're going to be playing to determine whether they qualify or not into the Summer Showdown tournament.
Yeah, and of course, we already outlined it, they need a +2 map differential to make this work. And also, actually, a +2 map differential gives them, potentially, they can leapfrog into 3rd, I believe, and get auto qualification for the playoffs, if they can manage to do that as well. So there's an added bonus on the line, particularly for the Fusion, but I'll have to double check where the standings are when we get a quick break. But yes, a lot on the line for Fusion, because they've been like that team throughout the season, haven't they, where they've had those moments of greatness. They've been kind of like just knocking on the door of the room where Shanghai Dragons and the Philadelphia and the Seoul Dynasty are just hanging out, just chilling, vibing. They've been trying to get past the doorman, but they don't know the password for the speakeasy, so they kind of fall short every time. They're trying to get the password now, and if they can have a strong performance today against the Spark, auto qualification doesn't quite get them in the room, but it gives them something to go off of.
And I kind of want to bring something up because we mentioned it while we still are getting ready, guys. We mentioned it earlier on when we introduced Philly, and it's nice to pinpoint that with the Spark 2. A lot of these teams have had their rookie pop-off players. Now, I feel like something that's been interesting and kind of been a discussion here is what's going on with the new blood, and then right now with the foundation of a lot of these teams looking at Architect and Carpe. But, you know, we're going to hold on to that thought for right now. We can touch up on that in that next break here because we are off from the pause and we are getting started here with the point not only going online, but with those trades, it did favor the Fusion for this initial fight.
Does allow them to get that first cap as well and push everyone back. Ultimate charge seems relatively even across the board. It's just MN3 is getting a little bit ahead of the opposite man. Shy, you will just have to play on these off angles right now. Maybe look at some crossfire in a moment, but it's all centralized around these stairs for the time being. Big push back there, finds Super Rich and Zest going to cut them down. Already Spark on the back foot on their counter-attack. And Irony, Shy, Alpha E all going to follow through. Zest gets to play cleanup on these final kills. It's MN3 who actually dinks the final shot. 30% and climbing for the Fusion.
Nice team fight win for the Fusion again. Second time back-to-back now as Alpha E is going to try to make his engagement, something that Alpha E does a lot that we've seen already before in the past. Trying to get some of those cheeky angles. You can see him now trying to get into position. Super Rich just trying to get him right there before deciding to split some of that attention to help out Bernard, get him into place here too. But the Fusion already having that advantage in terms of percentage. 45 and climbing right now, looking fantastic.
Yeah, they're over the halfway mark right now in terms of their map percentage. MN3 gets absolutely deleted by Shy. This is the window of opportunity for Spark now. They want to get the flip before it goes into final fight territory. Ult is still coming online. There's a bit more stall out here. Zest might get a blade well ahead of the support ultimates, but with Fury and Aim God going down, it's game over for this fight. Spark have to get the flip at this point, and it's time for the Fusion to go on the offensive.
While Super Rich does finish cleaning up the rest of the Fusion, it's nice to know how important right there you saw with MN3 going down, the dominating turnover that Spark was able to have just on this point alone. They finally get the point in their favor though, and it's already 68% in favor for the Fusion, and now they're about to dive in with a plethora of ultimates to work with.
Absolutely. Zest eyeing up that Dragon Blade. Super Rich does have the beat to be able to counter that one, so you obviously get the trade that comes out so often. Dashes in, closes the gap, pulls out the blade. Nice disengage there to push them away. Beats being traded by both sides. Rally comes out from Irony, but Zest does not manage to find the kill. Shy shuts him down with the overclock, turns attention over to MN3, who's also trading out with their overclock. Look at the health bars on the side of Spark. They're so low, they just need to be tapped, but there's no damage dealers running around to get the finish off. Aim God's going to have to step up to the plate, but it is not enough for the Fusion, and Spark will still hold on to this point.
An expensive fight, but that's fine because you have both Rampages coming on for both sides here. But the way that you saw that Zest had immediately gotten shut down from that initial blade by Shy really is going to highlight Shy's positioning here. Take a look at what Zest is going to do in the future against a player like Shy with the position that he is able to hold to actually negate a lot of the damage and pressure that Zest wants to put down into Irony and Super Rich.
They're now about to surpass the map percentage that the Fusion have set, taking the lead effectively in this round. They don't have position at the point, so they will have to step up to the Fusion, looking towards those Rampages now. But Aim God's already been removed from Alfie. So much attention being paid over to the Brigitte and the Fusion, and it causes the team to just collapse. There's nothing there to help fix it. Out will also suffer the same fate. Irony just running circles around the Fusion right now as Burner will go in for the cleanup. Final fight territory for the Fusion, and they're going to have to lead. They're going to have their charge led by Fury with this Rampage.
It's incredible the way that Spark has dominated on this point. They got to touch a point eventually to push this into overtime right here, but the moment that Spark turned this point into their favor, currently the Fusion have not been able to win it back just yet. Zest falls incredibly low, though.
Zest needs help.
He got the help that he needs. Overtime taking away, but they got to touch a point. They don't get there. What? Oh. And everybody from the Fusion were right there. They just needed a touch. Zest had taken a lot of damage, so he was afraid to go in, but he did get sustained right before the point was done.
Got sustained, but I don't think fast enough to give him the confidence to step forward, because you got to think about it, Vicky. If Zest steps onto the point and just triggers overtime but dies immediately, it's still a 4v5, and the chances of the Fusion actually converting it at that point are so slim. They were put in a very difficult position. They did not have someone trade out the spot to trigger the overtime effectively. There's a lot of attention being played over to Fixer, I believe. They went down as well just at the end, so it's not as if the Lucio could come flying in over the top to step in, and I don't think Fury was in position either. Just caught with their pants down a little bit here. And here's this flavor variation we were talking about earlier, that we could see some Pharos coming into the mix. Alpha is going to go in there. I don't know if we'll see MN3 or Zest go over to the Echo, which is the obvious counter for the Pharaoh right now. They might try and do it without.
Wondering here, because it's going to be MN3 and up to MN3 to really deny a lot of that space from Alpha E, as Alpha E falls low, but so does MN3, and that's what we're talking about. That's going to be big, but Zest, it's fine. You currently saw Alpha E fall low enough for Zest to finish that off, and now the rest of the Fusion have a number advantage. They're going to be able to take control over the point first.
They lost their big gun in the back line by having the Sojourn drop so early into the fight, but the Fusion still able to make it work. Zest able to land those headshots, and The rest of the front line seems to be having a whale of a time right now and just clear through the rest of the Spark, winning out the fight, getting the first cap. We've seen the Fusion do this before. We need to see them ramp up the percentage and get this to 100. Otherwise, they're at risk of already losing one of their 2 potential map losses. Sorry, if they lose their 1 match, that's their 1 lifeline gone. Vicky, they are 1 step closer to not making it to the tournament.
That is so true. There's a lot on the line here to kind of feel out how Fusion could be comfortable and how else they're going to play the rest of the series. Alpha Yi going to be able to get onto the high ground right here, flying over that window, gets shut down by MN3 currently now. Great start for this fight from the Fusion, and that's the risk that you bring when you're far fighting in close quarters, especially against a player like MN3. Just make his job a lot easier.
Let's go fight on the bridge instead, but I didn't see this position being sustainable. Spark hold themselves up in the white room, but it's just a murder box waiting to happen. Fusion getting that extra charge from the kills, delaying them even further because you've got the staggered deaths between Alpha Yi and the rest of the team. Alpha Yi now comes back on the Genji, reserves some of the ultimate charge. It was not a complete loss, but they are trailing hugely behind Zest when it comes to these Dragon Blades. And look at the Spark. The supports don't have their ultimates online. Zest could use the Blade on tempo, close out a fight, and put us in final fight territory this early on into the stage.
See 65% and climbing right now. See Fixa aim god with those ultimates, like you were mentioning before. MN3 playing a lot more passively, wants to try to get that overclock with those charge shots. As Zest is going to dive in with the Blade. Nice opening from Fury, too, to be able to get that Carnage pick off. Already does shut him down, and you see the shout coming in. But the rest of the Fusion still have the number advantage, and they're going to be able to clean up the Spark. That's without the Spark, though. Not using up that rally, they'll still have their own ultimates to try to contest for this last fight territory.
Yeah, this is so rough for the Spark, Vicky. Look at the ultimates they're going to have to go up against. They've got the Rampage. There's always these tight corridors to enter. That's why they're going across the bridge right now. Going to use Shy's overclock, maybe open up some sightlines. They put Fury on the back burner. Rampage only able to find burner as they trade out players using both of the overclocks. MN3 doesn't have the right angle here. Will get the shot onto Bernard as he's booped around. Turns the attention around to the front line as Fixa takes out Shy. Uncontested Sojourn battles right now. Needs to build up the charge. Deflect comes out for Alpha Yi, but it's not enough. And there's the Fusion clapping back 100% to 0 against the Spark, taking us over to Night Market to seal the deal.
What a dominating last fight right there, too. Despite losing out on Fury, the survivability between Aim God and Fixa was beautiful at the very end right there. Trade for trade here in terms of rounds trade, and it's looking like a fantastic start already to our first map in the series.
Yeah, Fury did go down incredibly low. I believe they only were able to find the connection with the Rampage on Burner, anti-heal on the tank. Pretty good, to be honest, if you can remove that presence, the ability, the sticking power on the point in particular when it comes down to these clutch moments. Costing them their lives, not ideal, but at least they found the connection before doing so. I think the big problem for the Spark going into that fight was purely the ultimate difference. Yes, the overclocks came in, they found some successful picks, but it was a bit late for them to get the beat and the rally online in that fight if you're the Spark, because you're already dealing with such a health deficit just from the support ultimates from Aim God and Fixa.
Let's waste no time now as the Fusion already make their appearance onto the point. You see Alpha Yi already in that front end of the choke point here. Try to contest Zest, who's right behind him. Nice little split as Alpha Yi falls incredibly low. He's trying to get away in time. Disruptor shot also controlling a good amount of space. It's a skirmish in the front lines here when it comes to that straight neutral that we were talking about in terms of this matchup.
Yeah, but position's definitely in favor, I feel like, of the Fusion here. 2 tight corridors to walk through, just turning up into the damage. Nice cut through there from Zest. Shouts are coming in to repair the rest of the team. MN3's got a lot of charge, looking for where he's going to nail this railgun. Someone needs to poke.
The shout into the dash to help us not only the sustainability. Nice little attempt right there with the shot here, but as well as giving that support over to Zest now as Irony gets taken down by Fury. Going a little bit too far now. Zest is going to be able to clean up the back line here from the Spark. They do have the number advantage despite Bernard getting MN3, but he's going to be able to come back in, and the rest of the Fusion are still going to plant their feet on this point.
So clean from Zest there, able to quickly find those targets in the middle of the fight, jumping onto the back line, taking out Irony, I believe, then turning his attention straight over to the front line to help the kill on Burner. Immediately heads up, where's the next opponent? Jumps through the window, goes outside, and then he's just left with Super Rich to do a quick clean combo on with the assistance of his team. Zest seems to be being fed amazing amounts of information, or has their head like an owl in a 360 swivel just to find these targets immediately, always finding something to do.
Getting set up now. Hoot Hoot, though. They're ready now, Trin. You can see Alpha Yi finding Aim God now. That means that the rally won't be online for this fight, but they trade that for Irony. Brigitte for Brigitte, but now Zest, this is the green light for him to try to dive in. He doesn't have that survivability, though, unfortunately, as he can't get to the health pack. He gets shut down. Bernard's going to be the one to find him with some help here. Alpha Yi is also going to have the Blade as a spark. Now, this is their opportunity to turn their point here in their favor. Fury's incredibly low, and it's just a cleanup opportunity for the spark.
Nice flip. 69%, nice, as they can't climbing. 4% climbing on the side of the Spark. There's options here for the Fusion to be able to get a retake. Instead, you're hoping that the Sparks play a little bit more bunch. They can get maximum value from Fury's Rampage, which has been quite muted in this map so far. We've not seen the big multi-mans we're expecting to see from a Junker Queen to come out onto this map. There's the disruptive shot, which should slow the speed, the rotation. There's the beat coming out from Alpha Yi, the Blade and beat combo from the Spark. They cut them down. Fury drops before they even have the opportunity to use their ultimate, but this is good for the Fusion. You've claimed 2 of the pivotal ultimates of the next fight. You're going to have some of your own to take a more expensive side, or expensive conflict from both sides. This is good. They're going to be able to trade up here for the Fusion.
Yeah, rather expensive right there to try to call out Fix and Aim God in that side room. And like you mentioned already, the ult economy in favor for the Fusion now as they find the opportunity to move away. They know that they don't have to worry about Alpha Yi's Blade. Instead, they're going to be able to barrier through Bernard and that Rampage. It's a matter of holding on to it here. Shy's going to be able to pop the overclock. Here comes the rally, though, between Irony. Aim God being more conservative at the very end as Alpha Yi trades out with Bernard.
But Dorado went down before they were able to use Rampage. How are Sparks staying competitive in this fight when they had such an ultimate deficit and they weren't able to get their Rampage out onto the field? Fusion finally able to stabilize and turn back the aggression. They just have to take out the support line now that Alpha Yi's gone. This is their flip, but Spark, I don't think they had any right living as long as they did in that conflict.
Oh, Zest going pretty far out after he managed to get some of those damages real quick on Super Rich, but Irony right there to help support him as MN3 is back in the fray. Back here with the overclock, trying to have that opportunity. Look at these beamage, though. He's got to look for his back. As you can see, the rest of the Spark actually trying to circle him, but Bernard out of position when you had Super Rich over on the other side.
90%. You got 90% in climbing right now. Spark need to run out the spawns, not get camped. Someone's going to have to touch and trigger overtime. We're expecting Super Rich or maybe Alpha Yi to get to the point. Zest watching the arm. He has the Blade. He can just take them out. They come in. Alpha Yi's so low. Fury finds him with the Jagged Blades. 4v5. Zest turns his attention to the front. The Fusion have absolutely decimated the Spark here in that final conflict. It was always going to be a challenge to make it count in the final 10%. The Fusion take map number 1. And they begin climbing up that map deficit they need to reach the tournament.
It's happening! They're ready one step closer to finding themselves in the Summer Showdown tournament. Absolutely huge first map win here going in favor for the Fusion. But again, this is the Fusion here that we're talking about. There's still 2 more maps that could go underway at minimum. We're going to see where we're going to be going to at the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone. Currently, the Fusion are up in the map series, currently taking game number 1, and we got map number 2 underway, going on to Paraíso.
Yes, I'll let you pronounce that one. I always butcher the pronunciation. I don't want to insult any more people. Philadelphia Fusion up with the 1-0. They have one of the 3 maps they need to win this series, but we're not paying attention to their scoreline. We're paying attention to the scoreline of the Spark. Remember, if they get more than 1 map win in this series, it's like the Fusion lose anyway. So I'm going to outline the worst possible reality for the Fusion fans because I know you're a bunch of masochists anyway because you support the Fusion. Philadelphia Fusion, 2 map wins. Let's say they win this map. They're up 2-0. That's the scoreline they need. It's map differential they need. They didn't get taken to map 5, which means that they don't actually have the map differential they need. And then they win the series anyway. So it's like a bittersweet victory. You still lose. I think that's the most Fusion thing that could possibly happen in this series. But I am remaining optimistic this series, Vicky. I am riding the Fusion high from yesterday. Paraíso is our next destination. I think I pronounced that right for the first time. Fantastic.
You sounded fantastic.
Oh, thank you. And they're going to be going on the offense first. Now, remember yesterday when we had our series, I believe it was Valiant, the Valiant series yesterday, some teams I'm not going to say it. They skipped this forward hold, should we say. It's on the bridge right outside the spawn room. Very impressive. They've done right. However, teams are supposed to be retreating back to point A where they can actually have their full-on defense. And look at that. Philly are 3-2 against Hangzhou Spark this season. They're going to be looking to make that a 4 versus 2, I can assure you today. But Hangzhou Spark still in a position to tie out the map record for this season. And then, I don't know what happens. Is it a Countdown Cup clash, maybe? Perhaps to settle the score?
That'd be crazy. And, just to touch up on what you just mentioned between the series that we saw between the Valiant, that was the map where the Valiant quite literally hugged the Hunters into their spawn in that first spawn. Once the Hunters got that first point going, it can be really difficult to get out of that first spawn hold. We've seen it a lot, actually, throughout this stage, so that's something to keep in mind of as we get started here on Paraíso. And Fusion starting off on the attack means that they have to get past that initial bridge that a lot of these teams hold the high ground for, as MN3 doesn't get the cheeky pick that we saw yesterday with the Widow.
It's always worth a shot. It's always worth a shot. Ash! MN3 Ash! Fusion fanboys rejoice! This is what you've been wanting. Let's see how it does.
Oh, let's go. I'm excited to see how this goes here. Especially on a map like Paraíso, we saw something very similar just yesterday. Again, in the Hunters and Valiants. Set up as Shy now is going to already back away a little bit, giving some of that space here. You want to be able to hold that high ground. You don't want to really give that for free to the Fusion, but feeling that pressure, there is that back end corner that they can get sandwiched in, so they're just understanding that.
Yeah, giving him a little bit of space, maybe too much here. Shy will still hold the high ground, and he's got a rail shot online. Not going to be expending it just yet, holding for the next peak that happens. Bernard's playing up close and personal on this corner. They don't want to give up the territory. Fusion might need to find an alternative route of ingress here. But still play it nice and slow. But hang on a minute, Alfie's just gone in up and above on the Spark, takes out AimGod. This is not looking good for the Fusion, and it opens up a 4v5.
Start off with the Wario Cries here with the shout to try to move everybody up, but they trade that as Bernard gets taken down as Zest is on fire since the start of the series. He falls incredibly low here as Fury gets taken down. Now the number advantage do go in favor of the Spark, and remember what we also talked about in terms of the Echo, how important the duplicate is here, but specifically on Paraíso, you have the ability and the freedom to be able to gain that extra space with this pick and reposition extremely quick, very similar to the Sojourn with her dash.
MN3's up on the high ground at the moment, just trying to poke through those little doors and see if he can get some pop shots while the rest of the team gets into position. Zest and Fix are going the long way round on this one to try and get onto the backs. Irony, going to check, feeding the information. Super Rich comes in to disrupt, sending Zest off the map. Has to use the dash to just get back into position. It's going to cut down the flanking route that the Fusion wanted to take. Doesn't mean it's going to be the last attempt. You can see Fixer and Zest attempting to go for it once more. Paying the attention over to Super Rich. Alfie thankfully there on the Echo to move forward and support Bernard, the rest of the team on this front corner. The rest of the teams regroup on the central point. And they're still being pushed away as that's another fight win for the Spark. This could be another full hold.
Oh, this is what we were talking about before here too. Shy popped off. Alfie cleans up everything as the Fusion get mollywopped in that team fight now. Currently looking at the ultimates, you still have Shy nearing that overclock. Alfie's about to get the duplicate. Note that he is going to look forward to that Jerker Queen pick onto copying Fury, but Fusion have a plethora of ultimates that they work with, as well as the Bob that's going to act as a 6th man for the Fusion.
A 6th man. If you can't do it with 5, do it with 6. See if they can pull it off. There's the Dragon Blade available for Zest as well. Double support ult still online. It's going to be a very expensive fight
nice
for both
move.
teams. Blade comes down. Oh, Shy removes him and free.
Oh.
No Bobbert will be present today. They're going to have to do it without. Spark still in charge of the scene. Aim God went down before the rally could grace us. Spark ended up with a support advantage. They still have a couple to use in the next engagements. This is probably going to be the final fight of this offense, Vicky. They got 45 seconds remaining, 2 ults apiece on both sides. But it's the rally, I think, that might be the difference maker unless they're able to double Junker Queen Rampage.
Time dwindling away for the Fusion here. MN3 needs to focus Alpha E, who's had such a big impact for the Spark so far, and he's got the duplicate online here too, so if MN3 could get that big first pick, it could be fantastic. Again, last fight territory here for the Fusion as they're going to try to have that opportunity to get as much as they can with that bomb.
There's that rally used before the fight. Alfie's actually duplicated Fixer. There's double Lucio on the field right now, and they're just taking it to the Fusion! MN3! The Ash pick not having the impact they were looking for. They traded one apiece for now. They're fighting outside the spawn room. Fixer trying to duel, I believe, with Alpha E. No, it was Super Rich. They got the kill on. Someone needs to touch the point.
MN3 swapping over to the Tracer.
Yeah, just to get back in the point. This is the overtime push they're looking for. Regrouping, having for the Spark. I think they're going to try and challenge the Fusion on this one.
That's why they actually just engage in that time. Here comes the Carnage, the Axe Swing at the same time here too. The Shout, though, is going to allow them to bust down Fury, though. Shy's going to be able to get that pick. Aimgod's going to go down. Number advantage going in favor for the Spark as the overtime is dwindling away for the Fusion. They don't really have the advantage or the stand on this point. What a full hold here from the Spark. Alpha Yi showing that Echo needs to stay here in Paraíso and the impact that Echo has had so far on the history of this map.
Oh my god, Fury knocked on the wrong door. Opened the door, gets hit with the sticky mines, takes a bunch of damage from Bernard on the exit, and then he has to retreat around the corner. How mobile is Alpha Yi's Echo? Just dashes around the corner, sticks to him with the focusing beam. The rest of the team comes in and burns through the tank of the Philadelphia Fusion. It means that Fury's got nowhere to go. He's been removed from the fight. 5v4 on the recontest. You got MN3 on a suboptimal pick just to get back into the fight. Yeah, losing Fury there was too big. It was not something they could come back from. So Spark don't quite get the full hold, technically, because there's been over 33% accrued. Does mean we missed the draw, but it's a very low benchmark of success for the Spark. They can tie up the series, and then the Fusion lose their lifeline.
A lot on the line. Zest going over to the Echo. Going to be able to try to match that with Alpha E. Something important to talk about there is while MN3 was on the Ash temporarily, you didn't get that Bob online, or rather out on the field for that second to last team fight. That would have allowed you to either make the swap into the Sojourn if you feel that's better, or even building up another Bob for another fight. Especially if they were to have gotten that point, they could have controlled that next corner with that second Bob. But we're going to see what the Spark are going to come out with now. That Sojourn difference, though, between Shy and what we had gotten from the Fusion on the Ash was really detrimental because Shy got those initial picks that really helped Alpha E get into position to clean things up with the focusing beam.
We'll be able to just dash forward for now. Alpha E. Dashing around on that Genji. You just see the Fusion playing much further forward. We saw the Spark playing, just give them an extra opportunity to shut down the push, but they're only 43% to accrue. They have to die fast. Fury died way too quickly again. Thank God for Fixer. At least trying to balance the scales a little bit. But Alpha's found Zest as well. It's not looking good as Spark will move on to the point. They can be capping right now and tying out the series. Bernard with the Carnage, locking MN3 away. Takes Super Rich out and stays alive a little bit longer. But is already climbing. 43% is not a lot to get. They're trying to stall it out, contest it as much as they can. Aimgod's going to have to throw the body on the fire as well. Fury comes back with the shout, reinvigorating the team. It's not looking good for them. So close to go. Shy just takes out Fury. And that's it. The Spark set themselves up for success on their defense. They will now level out the series. It's a 1-1 scoreline. One more map to go for the Fusion, and they will not make it to the tournament stage.
Spark on that hold was beautiful. Shy, Alpha Yi, even Super Rich at that point there too, allowing the rest of the Spark to be able to get into the position and find a lot of those initial picks. I love watching Alpha Yi Genji, but I also love watching that Echo put in some of those plays. Didn't work out for the Fusion the same way that they were expecting. Zest being one of the first initial picks in the beginning of that fight trade.
Yeah, Yeah, so now it's time for a reset. Philadelphia Fusion. Going to get some words from the coach as we head to the break. When we come back, we'll bring you map number 3.
back, everyone. The Philadelphia Fusion and the Hangzhou Spark are currently tied in the match series 1-1 apiece. That makes things a little bit harder for the Fusion to officially qualify and take over the Hunter spot in the Summer Showdown tournament.
Yeah, they still only have one map lost to take. If they do that, then like you said, Vicky, they miss out on what's important to them, which is that position in the tournament stage. Hunters, they're probably sat here being the biggest Spark fans right now on the sidelines, as well as everyone else who just wants to see the Fusion fail. I personally don't want to see that. I think they've been riding quite a nice high from yesterday's performance. They should be able to carry forth into the map. Something that went wrong for them right at the end there, very difficult position to hold against the Spark. Fury stepping forward a little bit too much. maybe overcommitted slightly, causing to get caught out and dropping down to a 5v4 in the final contest for their offense. Defense, only having to deal with 43% wiggle room is kind of difficult, especially on point A, and then you lose your first fight, it's pretty much done. You're playing stagger tactics at that point, but so much time bank left in the tank. Really hard to burn through all of that with just stall tactics. Moving ahead to the future though, Vicky, let's take a look at our next map. It's going to be Dorado. And Fusion and Spark will be out here playing on the escort type map. I tell you, it's going to be Spark on the offense first. So hopefully Fusion can set themselves up for success the same way the Spark did in Paraíso.
We're gonna have to see. I mean, coming out of the gates, we did see the MN3 Ashe didn't perform to the level that we were expecting there. Unfortunately, got picked off early in those initial team fights. Didn't make the swap, but also didn't have the ability to send out the Bob in a timely manner that they really needed to at the very end right there. A second to last team fight when they were on the ones on the attack. It's hard here now as the Spark are going to be able to, again, even out the series here, and the Fusion are going to be the ones to start things off here on Dorado on the defense.
MN3 going for the Ashe once more, sticking with that flavor of damage dealer. Hopefully that'll make the Fusion fans happy again. Playing quite slow, quite quiet for now, just hiding up behind the tunnel. There's a couple of seconds left. I imagine MN3 is going to go for a cheeky dynamite, and maybe a jagged knife pull, potentially from Fury, but I don't think anything substantial is going to happen. Surprised they're not putting Zest up on red and just harassing already. Typically see Genji's lingering around in the front bit. Oh, he's on yellow instead. No shot coming in for Alfie. He'll change over to the Genji to try and go and contest Zest. And we'll see how the ultimate generation happens with the harassment that usually takes place on these first couple of rooftops.
Yeah, holding on to this high ground here, they're going to be able to see Super Rich playing right underneath them. Zest is not going to be able to isolate him. As you can see, he is being protected by Alpha. He falls pretty low though, over by the backside. Zest having the high ground though is going to be able to harass Bernard from above. Nobody going to check him just yet.
To hide.
Yeah, and you can currently see Alpha also falling incredibly low though.
They're hunting down the Lucio. They've seen Fixer go over their head and they're like, right, chase him. Get him. He should be able to escape, though. Got back to the rest of the team. Now they're going to rotate up the stairs, try and take some high ground away from the Fusion. Left the payload in the street. I think Fusion might just go and secure the objective instead. Yep, you see Fury there just forcing it to have a little bit of a rollback as there's a team of the Sparks quite split at the moment. Alfie back up on yellow. Going to harass Fury instead. It's his time to feel the pain. They kind of swap sides at this rate here.
Yeah, MN3 actually rotating behind them instead. He was able to clean up 2 picks off of the Spark from M3's hands here, as now they're going to be able to take right back into this position. So that's going to be able to meet up with them soon here, but the rest of the Spark are now going to have not only that spawn advantage, but they are going to be able to fully try to send it onto the Fusion. Fusion understand that. Nice disengage to reposition onto the high ground.
We'll break this initial hold, get it into market. Dodging the disruptor shot. So that's just on the front line right now, still trying to harass towards that first blade. MN3 has managed to pull ahead here. Bob is actually going to be online surprisingly quickly at this rate. I can imagine that's a combination of dynamite and hitting those long-range shots. Being very cheeky with pixel gaps to shoot through here as well.
He had a great performance already, allowing himself and the rest of the Fusion to get those initial shots down. Falling super low here, though, as he's going to be able to get restabilized. You see Irony's got the rally. Super Rich with the sound barrier. Going to be a little bit ahead of Fixa, who's going to be able to get that sound barrier online in this next fight. Good amount of ultimates here coming online for the Spark soon. You're going to see Fusion could match that, but they don't have that rampage that Bernard's about to get as Irony pops the rally.
Here's the rally. Yeah, going to charge forward with that. Irony leading the charge. England still sitting on theirs. You've got Beat as well to use here if they need it. Super Rich going to pop theirs to deal with Zest's blade. Alfie's a little bit behind, so we look towards Shy's overclock. Zest just dealing damage, but no kills confirmed for the time being as they're locked in the corner. Aim God still has their rally available, but there's no support ultimates on the side of the Spark. Kind of muted for the time being. Have to be a response to what comes next, but Shy's been taken out by MN3. Doesn't need time to charge up the railgun, could just hit the long-range shots to begin with. Turns the attention to Alpha Yi, and oh no, it's all gone a little bit wrong for the Spark. They are now down to the sub 1 minute time bank. They are now against the clock, and look at Fusion setting themselves up for success, Vicky.
Look, let's ignore Paraíso. It was difficult angles when you have to come out of the attack on the Ashe and you have to find the opportunity to nail down Alpha Yi while he's on that Echo. Now this time around it's Dorado. He feels like he's in home turf territory here as he's going to be able to back away and find so much impact on this Ashe so far. Already almost getting another Bob, passing that 50% mark and climbing with a Dynamite.
Able to just accrue that quickly. Rampage, Dragon Blade. These are the tools that Spark needs to use successfully. They're taking out Fixer. This is a great start for them. Rally's there. Fury's anti-healed as well. This is big for them, but Zest is doing all the work. He doesn't need the blade to have the impact that Alpha Yi has. Burner, Irony, Shy, they've all been deleted, Vicky. Fusion have the payload. Zest is trying to linger around and make sure that no one gets the high ground, no one sneaks into touch. I don't know if the Spark can do it. Super Rich coming in hot to try and trigger overtime. He gets it in time to let reinforcements come in. Alpha Yi still coming back from the spawn room for time. He's got quite mobile kit in him. Should be able to go in. Bomb on the corner, push back, but it's still enough to take out Super Rich. A 10-player kill streak for MN3 is suddenly ended by Shy as Zest pulls out the blade, cuts through the entirety of the Spark. And that's going to be the Fusion setting themselves up for an easy map win here to take them to series points.
Trid, that was beautiful from Fury. That Rampage is what allowed Zest to pop off without needing the blade. He was at, what, 73% after dashing into all three members that got caught by the Rampage from the Spark. Fury allowing Zest to pop off at the very end right there while also conserving those ults was super important. Take a look right here as we get to look at the replay right now. Those three, Shy, Bernard, and Irony getting caught off from Fury's Rampage is what allowed Zest to clean things up in that side room, and they had the ult advantage in that final fight there too.
Okay, Spark. What are you going to do now? You're going to have the Fuller hold? You're going to have a Herculean effort to shut down the Fusion? They're running out with the same comp they always have done. I think MM3 is actually going to stay on this Ashe now. They started to find their footing. So how fast they accrued the ultimates. I also think that in that last round, Vicky, Zest had 2 blades to Alpha Yi's 1. So there was huge gap there when it came out. Lapped him with the blade, even though it was a little bit ceremonial at the end there because the fight had already been won. But it's still very much a symptom of the way this is going for Zest and Alpha Yi.
Really helps with MN3 getting a lot of those crucial initial picks now, reversing the situation from what we had seen on map number 2. Now, MN3 still sticking to his guns, still sticking to this Ashe, it looks like here. As you could already see the Spark getting set up onto that high ground here. Zest is already going to try to take control over that red rooftop.
Yeah, it's in the Goon squad up there, Fixer and Zest to make sure they have high ground. Ping's coming in. They're spotting out where Shy is at the moment. She's really paying attention to where the Sojourn's hiding. MN3 up on the high ground. Has the cover to play behind on this rooftop. Long sightlines to abuse as well. Someone may have to come up there and challenge him. If Shy can't hit the railgun shot and force him away, might have to send Super Rich over there. They're busy right now taking damage of their own as Zest will rotate through red back on to the payload.
Oh, MN3 finds Alpha Yi.
Where did MN3 hit that shot from? Oh my god, he pulled forward, Vicky, and was able to just get the angle on red. And then look at how the Sparks scatter backwards. They don't want to lose any more members. And we are so close to seeing Fusion cap this point already.
That was a great aggressive approach right there, too, from MN3 after he actually forced Super Rich to fall low. He knew he had the time as Shy. He's going to be able to trade that, though. He's going to be able to find MN3. Now, the number advantage go in favor for the Spark, as the Spark are going to be able to continue on this defense. Zest falls incredibly low here. Fury's still sticking alive for right now before getting taken down by Alpha Yi. It's the finisher with the dash, and now it's going to be a reset here for the Fusion.
So close to being a Fusion cap there, but Shy comes true with the railgun. Buying some time for Alpha Yi to come back into the fold. Not a strong position for the Spark to be in, though. There's still 2 minutes 30 and not a lot of meters between them losing this map. Zest not quite lapping Alpha Yi as we saw in the previous round, staying fairly consistent for the time being. And MN3 also trailing in comparison to last round as well. Without those powerful tools, they're a little bit muted for the time being, but they're still able to progress through slowly.
See the disruptor shot coming in too as the engagement is going to start up. Bernard falls a little low, but so does Fury. Here comes the rally. Is it enough to help out Fury? It is. He's going to be restabilizing. Bernard's not going to be able to. Here comes MN3 again, getting that initial pick. Make it 2 onto Super Rich. No sustainability, no blade. And the Fusion win map number 3 on Dorado.
They tie it back up. They get themselves into that match point position. 2-1. Vicky. They got one more map to go. If they lose that map, then their playoffs, our hopes are all over. However, if they win the series, that's a +2 map differential, my friend. And they will overtake the Hunters and get themselves to the Summer Showdown. So much stakes on the line here for the Philadelphia Fusion and for the Hunters next map, so be sure to join us after the break.
Welcome back, everyone. The Fusion currently sit at match point versus the Spark, but I'm a little scared right now, Trid, because the next map is going to be Colosseo, push map, which, looking at the track record, the Fusion have not had any success, I believe, in this stage on any of the push maps that they've played so far, with the latest news being the Colosseo map that we had seen just yesterday in their series versus the Dynasty.
Now imagine if they did manage to break that curse in the match where it matters the most for them to do so. Like I said, if it goes to Game 5, they may as well just lose the series anyway at this point because they can't get what they're looking for out of this, which is qualification to the Summer Showdown. So yeah, Colosseo, basically you got to treat this as a final destination for the Fusion. It's their last chance to secure a spot in our Summer Showdown tournament. Hunters fans, they are praying that Fusion are being consistently bad at push. So are the Spark, actually. They're probably hoping to get to a map 5, potentially even win this one out. But my worst case scenario, Vicky, is still on the table here, where map 5 win for Fusion, so they don't really win. It'd be the most Fusion thing ever.
I would cry. I'll cry. I knocked on my desk.
Would you cry? Would you shed a tear on behalf of the Fusion fans?
Well, I would, because, man, can you imagine just the roller coaster of emotions? Like, are you feeling numb at this point? Like, I would. I would be feeling pain, eternal pain, especially sweating pretty hard, looking at the fact that we are going on to this next map. But, you know, giving some of credit where it's due, gotta highlight Fury in that last map looked really good right there. MM3, of course, doing the MM3 thing on the Ashe, has been performing amazingly. Zest popping off too. It's very possible. Gotta bring some of that momentum in from yesterday into today for all the right reasons. You mentioned, you know, even if you go to a map 5, wrap it up, but at least your Trid, if that does happen to be the case, I'm looking at the brighter side of things, just looking at all the situations that could play out. They could play for points in the overall standing, so that's also incredibly important for them, because I believe they're sitting in 4th, so they want to maintain that spot, especially looking at the Hunters. If the Hunters are the ones that are going to qualify for the Summer Showdown tournament, where they're going to be able to get double the points.
See them load up into the push map then. Vicky said not gone well for the Fusion so far. See if they can turn it around where it really counts. Should see a lot of stagnation around the central point, unless there's some picks coming in from MN3 and Shy. Imagine if they can land a railgun shot, we might be able to see a more accelerated push. But I don't see either of these teams completing the map. It's going to be about who gets that progress once we start looking at the 90 meters, 100 meters, and start gapping their opponents. That's when you need to be concerned and start thinking about how the map is already over at some points. But, you know, we had teams surprise us yesterday with huge overtime comebacks. It could definitely happen today.
Let's see, the standoff always happens here on this map, right next to that bot by these walls. See Shy already trying to take it off angle position. Gonna be able to slide away with the power slide, back into safety, into the hands of Irony and Super Rich. So we try to actually find that standoff to find that first initial pick, and that's gonna be the team that's gonna dive in first.
Shy, not contested, takes out Fix, so you didn't turn your head fast enough there, my friend. And Shy is going to remove it. That's the early pick we were looking for. Should be able to make some progress on this bot. They've got a 5v4. They've really got to capitalize now, because reinforcements can come in fast when it's a Lucio coming back from the spawn room.
Oh, Fury try to wait on that push bot for as long as they can, but you see the way that Alpha is playing to not only try to split a Fury, but to prevent some of that initial healing from Aim God. Nice little trade though, as Irony's going to go down too, so that's one man down here for the Spark, and playing at that number disadvantage is going to allow the Fusion to at least try to turn this bot before it gets much progress.
They're pushing ahead. Take them out.
Still made a tiny bit of progress. Nothing insurmountable here for Fusion. Zest is low, but will still dive forward into cover. It's a dangerous position to be in, but gets a few packs coming in from Irony to top him up. From Aim God, sorry, to top him up.
Let's stick with it.
Railgun online for MN3. Don't poke your head. You could lose it. Takes the shot. Last one into Burner, I believe. It's not a headshot, so will not have substantial damage. And the Spark are able to regroup, get control of the bot, and push it back.
Back and forth, so much space being bought in by the Spark here. You see Alpha Yee managing to get Aim God. Yes, that was beautiful right there. And then finishes off MM3 while he's out of here too. Look at this. He's going to have the blade for the next fight. Despite the Spark, or rather the Fusion getting 2 of those picks, it's fine. Number of edges still in favor for the Spark here.
Couple of ultimates on the board as well for the Spark. They can make real progress here. They will obviously still fall shy of the checkpoint, but they move closer and closer. They just need some consecutive fight wins, and they're set up to do so based on the state of the game currently.
Love the decision to disengage right there after seeing that Fusion had already taken control over the high ground, now forcing the Fusion to try to push in first. Despite some of the extra progress that the Spark were able to get from the bot. Not too far up ahead, obviously, here, but the nice way that Spark are trying to disengage, and Shy's going to be able to unleash the overclock. Here comes the blade now from Zest. He doesn't get the sustainability, though! What a huge shutdown by Shy, and he finds aim gun while he's having two.
Shy!
Oh, he's still going! The rest of the Spark! They clean up the Fusion! And what a mistake from the Fusion, where they lose it on the blade, they lose it on the sound barrier. And Alpha Yi, yes, he used his blade too, but look at this irony and Aim God. They're both about to have their rallies. The Rampage are online, and MN3 is about to get the overclock, but Shy, what an initial fight here for them.
Big pop off with the overclock. Successful railgun shots all over the spot. MN3's time to clap back. I think it's a little bit harder to do so in this corridor. Lots of terrain to hide behind. As soon as they pop the overclock, you just give them space and respect it. Really mitigate that ultimate with time. Disrupt the shots there. MN3's found Shy. Pops the overclock immediately afterwards. Alpha Yi dashing for safety, but they're all exposed to the damage. MN3 claps back. And this is the Fusion trying to put some meterage on the board.
The back and forth. It's a ping pong match right now. MN3 and Shy getting those important picks. Now MN3 is going to have a good amount of the distance, because now you can see Fusion moving all the way up. They're trying to deny that space from the Spark. They're trying to have that high ground advantage. Fixa does not want to get called out there out of position. He's going to be able to back away in time. Bernard having that rampage, and Irony still having that rally here. It's going to look good as you want Super Ridge to try to get that sound barrier. Here comes the rampage though, landing up to Super Ridge, and Alpha Yi, MN3 fighting Super Ridge.
Oh, I feel like I'm at the Gnome at the moment. The noises I'm making seeing MN3 and Shy hit these shots on the railgun. For so far away. They're about to hit the point of overtaking the meterage that the Spark have. Fusion have wrestled back control of Colosseo with roughly the halfway mark of the time bank.
So scary here. You see Zest already trying to go for a flanking opportunity. Look at Fixa right there, allowing him to get a little bit aggressive. Bernard's got that rampage still, but Zest with that blade soon could be tricky here. It's going to be up to Super Ridge to deal with that. Fixa going down first is going to be absolutely huge here. Yeah, going to be able to find that. Aim God's going to go down too. Nice rampage coming in from Bernard. Zest getting taken down, and it's the rest of the Fusion that are going to get cleaned up. The Spark with that reversal. I love the way that they were able to counter position themselves up on the high ground. Alpha E also splitting some of that attention away to enable Bernard.
Yeah, the jewels on Bernard right now to do that at 70 HP, like exposing themselves massively to damage and even going down. Able to land the rampage though. Don't lose their life in the end. They're able to dip behind terrain, get support of their team. Nice little clash on the robot. Remember, there's still a distance to go before the Spark are able to increase their score on this map. Now the contest is there. If they win this fight though, they will be able to overtake the Fusion once more. Shy, we've seen what they can do with the overclock before. Not rewarded the same sightlines, the same access to the Fusion lineup to be able to deal the damage they dealt before. Fury popped down low, but will get settled up. Aim God under the cosh. The beat comes in too late from Fixa to save him. Zest pulls out the blade, cuts through Alpha Yi. Gonna stagger it out, but Shy comes true, ringing the metal chassis of Zest's head.
Doesn't even need the overclock right there. Despite that tricky position there from Shy, gonna be able to shut down Zest. Nar's gonna be able to back away in time. Look how close they are to Fusion's spawn point here too, while still getting progress on this bot. They need to, because this is allowing the Fusion to be on the high ground on the bridge. Now Irony pops up with the rally. Aim God's about to get the rally themselves. Won't be able to help them out. No sustainability there as Bernard shuts him down.
Yeah, there's no checkpoint accrued as well. Fusion's still going to have the advantage at this point. MN3 using the overclock to find two. And the bot is going to take a long march back into the Sparks territory. 3 minutes 33 remaining. And it's so close still. This can still go either way, Vicky. They have not reached an insurmountable point, but the odds are definitely in the Fusion's favor right now.
Back and forth we go. Look how close too. 57 for Spark, 60 here for the Fusion. Getting close to actually try to trail that now. See the off angles that we were seeing before when we were all on that standoff position. Aim God's got that rally. The Fury's going to have the rampage before Bernard. This could be big here. MN3's going to back away in time. Nice big rampage. Lands onto 3. Can they get the pick though onto Irony, who falls pretty low here? Alfie manages to survive, but not for long before Fury says, come right back here. You're not going to go anywhere. Gonna sit down on this little leg. Yeah, and now they're gonna be able to get that checkpoint. That's gonna be huge here for the Fusion. Again, they are sitting at match series, match point right now.
66 meters to 57, 10 meters in it. They're going to get even more progress now. Those forward spawns have been unlocked by virtue of getting the checkpoint. Keeps the fights even for longer. And now Zest is charging up towards that next blade, a showstopper if you will. Get control of the bot. I'm going to send it back now. Long walk before the Spark can get any progress, so it can be stopped before they can accrue points. In fact, Fusion can probably take 2 fights before Spark can get points. So they have that extra level of defense right now.
4 ults online here for the Fusion. Zest is about to get the blade. Shy, though, has popped off with the overclock. Can Shy do it again? Shut down Fixa would be real huge here. Now Shy's going to be able to unleash it. He gets Fury! That's big. The sound barrier does get called in from Fixa. Is it survivability enough here? As you can see, Bernard now taking control, taking care of Aim God. No rally here, and it's going to have to be a reset for the Fusion. They can afford this here, Trid. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock right now. You're going to come out of that spawn point to stop that bot from getting any sort of progress.
You could also use a faster reset and get back here. You're going to be able to contest once more before they reach the checkpoint and before they reach a progress marker. That's the bonus, the safety that the Fusion have built for themselves earlier in the map. They lose this next fight, though. Could go the way of Spark. Alfie goes to the backline with the blade. Turns his attention to Aim God. Fury seems to be the next target. Damage, but no kills coming through. Zest, unsuccessful in their efforts as Irony shuts them down. Spark have an advantage at the time being. Super Rich found Fixer as well. What's going on? Spark, they're about to hit that checkpoint, Vicky. And they do that, and they win another fight. They can take the map away from the Fusion and dash their Summer Showdown hopes.
Despite not getting a pick with that blade there from Alpha Yi, you saw still that Irony was able to take care of Zest, and that was the space being bought in from Alpha Yi. As the tick still continues on, you got less than 35 seconds now on the clock here, Trid.
They have to contest. They can't give up this.
They gotta get off the high ground.
Fury's gonna have to step forward. Straight into a railgun from Shy. Here's the rally. MN3's low. He gets tagged but not taken down. Fury needs some assistance. So close to getting the Rampage online. That could be a game breaker in this one. They're at 99%. Use it on cooldown. Finds free. MN3 opens up with the railgun. Disrupt the shot.
This is it.
And the dot will claim Alpha Yi. The Fusion have stopped the Spark on the cusp of losing out in this map, losing out on the Summer Showdown. One fight to seal the deal, and it was Fury to stay alive and deliver the finishing blow. The Philadelphia Fusion get their hopes up. They're overlapping the Hunters, and they will secure themselves a spot in the Summer Showdown.
Top 4 locked in here from the APAC region in the Summer Showdown. Officially, the Dragons, the Dynasty, the Charge, and say hello to your 4th place spot. The Philadelphia Fusion winning the series currently 3-1. Look at them pop off in the camps. Look at the hugs. The Spark upset currently, but they were not in contention for even making it, even after this series, into the Summer Showdown tournament. Unfortunate for them, they wanted to be able to get as many points as they wanted for the overall standings, for the same reason we're talking about the Fusion going into map 5. But now, you see the Fusion, they're so happy right now making it into the Summer Showdown tournament, and I'm happy to see it too here, Trid.
Great progress from them be able to secure that position. But there's one man we've got to congratulate a little bit more, Vicky. It's our player of the match. One zesty boy coming in, especially in the earlier stages of the series, having the impact on the Genji, thriving in this meta, in their rookie season. Just unbelievable play from them, and one of the key reasons that Fusion were able to come out with the victory today.
Zest insane here. Has been a mainstay for the Fusion roster in terms of the insane plays that he's been able to make, as well as working really well with MN3. Now, I also have to give props where it's due, but Fury was going crazy when it comes to making the impact on the Rampage at the very end for these last fights. The fights that mean everything here. That 3-man Rampage, both on Colosseo as well as Dorado, meant a lot here as we take a look at Zest and his stats. In this series alone, where it went to map number 4, he was able to secure 72 elims, 28 final blows, which, by the way, that's 28 more final blows to his record after we congratulated Zest just yesterday on being the only player in the entire league from hitting 1,000 kills in this region. So it's going to be really nice here for Zest to be able to add that to his record.
Wonderful for them, just constantly padding the stats here against the Hangzhou Spark. But wow, What a performance from Philadelphia Fusion. The fans have been rewarded for their faith right now. They now turn their attention over to the tournament, which will also be taking place later this next week, I believe. But Vicky, the shenanigans aren't over yet. We're going to take a quick look at the highlights from that series before we go any further. But we're going to go for a break down the series, and then you can go grab some popcorn for what we would consider the main event.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back, everyone. The final match here in the final week of the Summer Showdown qualifiers is underway currently. We got the Shanghai Dragons versus the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, it's coming up next. We'll have that massive clash of titans, but first we need to take a look at some of the highlights from the Philadelphia Fusion and the Hangzhou Spark in this series. And oh, it looked a bit shaky, especially when we take a look at Paraíso, how dominant that was for the Spark. I started to get those Fusion fan jitters that maybe arise when they're on the verge of a choke, but they buck the trend.
Map 11.
Map 11.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, someone pointed this out actually. Map 11. There was a lot of draws in this series, and we're just skipping to map 11, 12, 13. No, tight. Unfortunate little technical error, but of course, this was map number 1, Lijiang Tower. Fusion, I think, very much remained control of this map, even down to the wire. Like I said, Paraíso made me a little bit scared for them. This was definitely a Spark favored map. When you look at the outcome of the series, Alfie's Echo, absolutely dominant performance from them on Paraíso.
It was beautiful here, and we saw the impact that Alpha Yi had on this Echo. It was questionable here too, because this is where we saw the Ashe initially, and here on Dorado, this is where M3 and Zest really went off. But I need to highlight Fury's impact from the Fusion in this series was literally insane. Honestly, basically on that border of being robbed here from Zed. So everybody on the Fusion played really well, but the way that Fury played with those rampages, especially at the very end, those clutches were beautiful. Alpha East Blade, though, around the end of these last two maps were a bit questionable once the ball started rolling in favor for the Fusion trick.
Yeah, it was really rough here. This definitely was a winnable map for the Spark. Shy really took this personally this series, I feel, especially at the end here on the Sojourn. Final fight, though, when we saw it come down to it, Vicky, when it was just on the cusp of claiming victory over the Fusion. Like I said, Fury staying alive was the difference maker. Look at this, 40, like, see how low the health went, about 40 HP, stays alive long enough to get the Rampage online. Huge anti-heal applied. The rest of his team can just clean up. Fury goes down there. I think we're looking at a different story. I think we're still casting map number 5.
It's crazy because I want to see much more Fury and the impact Fury's had on this team going away from the Jerky Queen meta. As we do note, there will be some changes before we go into that next stage. So we are going to be seeing some players shift around, but Fury's been a great mainstay here for the Fusion. Now, that concludes that series. The Philadelphia Fusion, once again, they make their way into the Summer Showdown tournament. And now this next series that we're about to have, Train, is going to determine who's going to be our first seed as well as get the pick advantage. That's going to be on the other side of this break, guys. We'll see you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Our final series in the last week of the Summer Showdown qualifiers is coming up soon, and we got the Shanghai Dragons versus the Seoul Dynasty, the two gladiators that have gone against each other in the APAC before, but have been leading the pack of APAC.
I think you said it yesterday quite well, Vicky. You said they seem to be like 2-tier breaks above the rest of the team.
Yeah.
So cut above the rest. This should be a fantastic showdown in this stage in particular, just because we've seen how dominant they can be against opposing teams, rarely dropping maps. I think Seoul dropped 2 of which came yesterday, and Seoul and the Shanghai Dragons, I believe, have only dropped 1 map so far. So, yeah, in terms of records, this is pretty tight. You can see across the season as well, 14-3 identical records so far when it comes to map win-losses. This one is going to accelerate one above the other. There could be some shenanigans in the tournament. We can worry about that another time. But in terms of regular season and qualification, only one of these teams can sit on top of the region.
And what's nice to note is I was talking to Avril earlier on today, and we had mentioned this just a few days ago too, where this is El Clásico match basically that we have on our hands, because Seoul and Shanghai actually have the longest standing rivalry between any two teams in the entirety of the Overwatch League, with a total of 22 total series played. So it's really nice to see this be the finale, and for this to determine which of these teams are going to be sitting in the first seed for the Summer Showdown tournament. With both of these teams being 5-0 in this stage, I'm wondering how this is going to play out, because like you mentioned before, Dragons dropped 1 map, we saw Dynasty drop 2 maps, and they both dropped maps to Philly Fusion. So we're going to see how that's going to play out here between both of these teams.
Yeah, Philly Fusion being the spoiler of the region, apparently. Glad to see they actually just secured their place in the Summer Showdown. If you're tuning in just now for this matchup, Fusion were able to take down the Spark with a high enough map differential to make sure they took the 4th place away from the Hangzhou Hunters, and they give themselves a spot in the Summer Showdown. Seoul Dynasty versus Shanghai Dragons. I wonder if we can get the Seoul Dynasty roster up just to go through it. It's been quite a consistent one throughout the course of the season. Not really many changes when it came round to this stage. Obviously, we put Prophet into the support role, which is probably the most confusing part of this one. But they've been performing very well, as demonstrated by the Seoul Dynasty's record. Stalker and Fitz, they've really come into their own, relying heavily on things like the Genji, particularly for Stalker, who's been having a whale of a time.
Yeah, you know, we talked about it in our previous series. It's nice to talk about it right now. Rookie players popping off left to right. Stalker, Vindame, love this from the Dynasty here. And yeah, this is going to be nice to see what they're going to do against the Dragons, because when we take a look at the Dragons, it's also nice to note that the Dragons, I believe, are actually leading in terms of their set history, 13-9. So with the Dynasty and the way that they've been performing so far within the APAC region, it'd be nice for them to overtake them and have that opportunity throughout this season.
It would be indeed, just to be able to make a true statement of your own. But Stalker, Fitz, Smurf, Prophet, Vindame. Smurf is... there was some criticism, I believe, from the previous day. Smurf maybe not getting involved as much as they want to, but also cries from the other side of the community saying Smurf was potentially robbed the player of the match sometimes. These are the things that happen, the dichotomy of the Dynasty. Taking a look at the Shanghai Dragons roster. Lip, who are you? Void, Izayaki, Lijiang, who are you? Someone who is heralded as one of, if not the best Genji in the world, has been having so much fun in this meta, Vicky.
He's been going crazy. I mean, when we talk about the best Genjis in the entire league, Who Are You is in that conversation. But can this contention between Who Are You and Stalker play out in the explosive way that I'm expecting here between both of these teams? I'm wondering, as we are going to get set up here, the Dragons looking fantastic up to par, as well as the fact that, again, they only dropped 1 map so far in the qualifiers for the Summer Showdown versus the Dynasty, who just yesterday did lose 2. Now, very close in terms of where these two teams are standing in the APAC region. Like you mentioned before, Trin, and like we've talked about earlier on yesterday, these two teams are on a completely different plane than the other teams in the APAC region. And I'm excited to see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, I love that you touched on the Who Are You Stalker matchup here. You've got that established veteran, the rookie calling the upshot. That's a really interesting dynamic to see play out throughout the course of the series. Can Stalker almost steal some of the thunder, steal the mantle away from Who Are You in terms of Genji performance in such a Genji-dominant meta right now? I'll be keeping an eye on that one in particular as the series evolves. Izayaki and Lijiang, they've been a fantastic backline duo throughout the entire season. Prophet obviously stepping into this role, experienced on the Brigitte from previous metas, but now coming into it in the context of a true support. Against such experienced and veteran backline on the Dragons, that's also an interesting one to keep an eye out as well. I think Vindame's been playing fantastically anyway. I'm not too worried about Vindame holding up against Lijiang in this series.
Yeah, it really does play out into that rookie versus veteranship that we've been seeing between the Dynasty and the Dragons. It's really enjoyable also to see that the Dynasty are feeling nice. You can see some smiles. They're laughing. They're enjoying themselves before they dive into this match, especially after what we had seen from their faces just yesterday against Philadelphia. A lot of interesting series that we've had throughout this week in Trid, but of course this is APAC for a reason, and this is where the chaos really goes down.
Absolutely, players are just getting into the lobby just to lock us off and get us into the series. Our first map of the day, or for this series, is going to be Lijiang Tower. You could technically consider that Shanghai Dragons' home map, if you wanted to look at it from the lore. But, you know, we don't really have home and away advantage. That'd be kind of weird, wouldn't it, in Overwatch League? But no, I'm expecting a lot of good things from this series in particular. Like I said, there's playing for first place. Summer Showdown positions are all really locked in right now. You've got to think of the overall context of the season leaderboard and what this means for playoffs and looking towards grand finals, because that's around the corner. Basically, after the Summer Showdown, we have Countdown Cup and then we have playoffs. So it's getting closer and closer to the main event where we will truly be able to see more of these West versus East clashes and hopefully see who's going to take home the ultimate prize at the end of the season. Because I think especially with the Junker Queen meta that we're in, Vicky, there's still a lot of conversation about West, East, who's actually coming out on top of this one. A lot of hype around the Dallas Fuel. People will be like, no, the Fuel are going to kick whoever comes from the Eastern region back down to the curb in this one. And it's always interesting that we get those more international clashes. I am curious to see what comes of it in the Junker Queen meta. But as we keep highlighting, we've already been told that there are going to be changes coming post-stage. So I can only imagine what the meta is going to look like or what it's going to evolve into for Countdown Cup and playoffs, and whether the opinion that the West is more dominant will still hold true if we move away from the Junker Queen meta.
That, and if Genji's even going to be prevalent there too, because that's where we found a lot of that success with the Dragons having Who Are You pop off. That's really allowed the Dragons to really shine here too, as well as the fact that it's the reason why the Dynasty are currently leading in the overall standings here in the East. They're on top of the Dragons, who had a bit of a rough start here versus the Dynasty in terms of where we were standing in the start of the season. And this is the opportunity for the Dragons to not only make that comeback in terms of overall points since they already qualify, but it's also what really trickles into the importance of getting that first seed, where the team that does come out on top of the series is going to be able to obtain as well as get that first pick choice.
I'm going to start naming and shaming players. Do you know who's not in the lobby yet? The reason why we've not started the game? Lip. They get enough time. I give them enough time. If they're making, that's how this works. they get enough time. But no, it's Lip who's causing the map to be delayed. Don't send hate though. It's probably something to do with technical. The team, to be honest, just came in. Probably weren't expecting the series to end that quickly, because ultimately our previous series was quite quick. Even though we did go to 4 maps, Vicky, they're very fast maps because of the full hold. So wrestling up the team is all good. Just get to make sure they're comfortable, make sure they're ready. We don't want to rush them into a match that's as important as this. And then we'll get the map on the way and kick things off on Lijiang Tower shortly.
I love the players before they jump into the game. You can see the sudden happiness, excitement, and then it slowly trickles down to, all right, game face, you gotta lean forward real quick. It's not real unless you lean forward as far as you can where your nose touches the screen. But also, we got the Dragons just having fun with it, as looks like we actually got everybody in the lobby right now. We are just getting set up currently. Like Trid mentioned before, first map is going to be going into Lijiang Tower. Now, a map that we've actually seen far as